Hello everyone, and welcome back to another lesson. Today we are tackling something that almost every English learner struggles with at some point, and honestly, it is one of the most requested topics we have ever received.
Yes, and when people ask us about this topic, they usually describe the same feeling. They say, "When I have time to prepare, I can speak okay. But when someone asks me something suddenly, my mind goes completely blank. I freeze. I cannot find the words. I feel embarrassed."
If that sounds like you are in exactly the right place today. Because today we are going to talk about how to speak English without preparation. How to respond naturally, confidently, and smoothly even when you've had zero time to think.
And we want to be clear from the very beginning. Speaking without preparation is a skill. It is not a talent that some people are born with and others are not. It is something that can be learned, practiced, and developed by anyone who is willing to put in the right kind of effort.
That is so important to hear. It's a skill, not a gift. And like all skills, it gets better the more you practice it in the right way. So let us talk about what that right way looks like.
Before we get into the strategies, let's first understand why speaking without preparation feels so hard. Because once you understand why it happens, the solutions make much more sense.
Great idea. So why do most English learners freeze when they are asked something suddenly in English?
There are a few reasons, and they all connect to each other. The first reason is that most learners are still translating in their heads. When someone asks them a question in English, their brain first processes it in their native language, then thinks of an answer in their native language, and then tries to translate that answer back into English before speaking.
And that whole process takes time, more time than a natural conversation allows. So by the time the answer is ready, the moment feels awkward or the listener seems impatient, and that pressure makes everything worse.
The second reason is that learners often aim for perfection before they open their mouth. They want the perfect sentence, the perfect grammar, the perfect pronunciation, all ready before they say a single word. And because perfect takes time, they end up saying nothing at all.
And the third reason is that they have a very small collection of ready phrases in their active vocabulary. Their passive vocabulary, the words they recognize when they read or hear them, might be quite large. But their active vocabulary, the words they can pull out and use quickly under pressure, is much smaller.
Understanding those three reasons is really powerful because each reason points directly to a solution.
So, let's go through the solutions one by one. Solution number 1. Stop translating and start thinking in English.
This is the single most important shift you can make in your English development. As long as your brain is doing the work in your native language and then converting to English, you will always be slow and you will always feel behind in a conversation.
The goal is to train your brain to reach directly for English without the translation step in between. And the way to do this is to start thinking in English as often as possible throughout your day.
Start small. When you wake up in the morning, describe your morning routine to yourself in English. I'm getting up. I'm making tea. It's a cold morning. Simple thoughts, simple sentences. No need for perfect grammar, just direct English thinking.
When you walk outside, describe what you see in English. The sky is cloudy. There are a lot of people on the street. That car is moving too fast. Again, simple and direct, no translation involved.
With days and weeks, this practice rewires your brain. It gets faster and more natural at reaching for English directly. And when someone asks you suddenly, your brain is already in English mode, and the response comes much quicker.
Solution number 2. Accept good enough and start speaking.
This is about letting go of the perfectionism that stops so many learners from opening their mouth. In a real conversation, the goal is not a perfect sentence. The goal is communication, getting your meaning across clearly enough that the other person understands you.
A sentence with one grammar mistake that communicates your idea is 1,000 times better than a perfect sentence that stays silent inside your head because you were too afraid to say it imperfectly.
Native speakers themselves do not speak in perfect sentences all the time. They pause, they restart, they self-correct, they use filler words. Real speech is naturally imperfect. When you accept that, the pressure to be perfect disappears, and speaking becomes much easier.
So, give yourself permission to say something imperfect. Say it anyway. The more you practice saying things even imperfectly, the faster and more naturally the words will come.
And here's something very encouraging. Most people you talk to are not listening for your grammar. They're listening for your meaning. They want to understand what you're saying. If they can understand you, the conversation is successful regardless of small errors.
Solution number 3. Build your collection of ready phrases.
This is one of the most practical and immediately useful strategies for speaking without preparation. The idea is to have a bank of ready phrases that you can use in many different situations without having to think hard about them.
These are phrases that you know so well they come out automatically. You don't have to construct them, you just use them, and they buy you time, connect your thoughts, and keep the conversation moving naturally while your brain catches up.
Let's go through some of the most useful categories of ready phrases. The first category is thinking phrases. These are phrases you use when you need a moment to think before answering.
Well, that's a great question. Let me think about that for a moment. That's interesting. I haven't thought about that before. Where do I start? Let me see.
All of those phrases signal to the listener that you're thinking, and they give you a few seconds to gather your thoughts without the silence feeling awkward. They keep the conversation alive while your brain catches up.
The second category is agreement and response phrases. These help you quickly respond to what someone just said while you prepare a more detailed follow-up.
Exactly. That makes sense. I know what you mean. I agree completely. That's so true. Right, absolutely. Yes, definitely. These short responses show you're engaged and following the conversation, and they keep things moving naturally.
The third category is clarification phrases. When you're not sure what someone said or what they meant, these phrases help you ask without feeling embarrassed.
Sorry, could you say that again? What do you mean by that? Could you give me an example? Just to clarify, are you saying that I want to make sure I understand correctly?
Using these phrases is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of a careful and thoughtful listener. Native speakers use these all the time. Asking for clarification is completely natural in English conversation.
The fourth category is transition phrases. These help you move from one idea to the next smoothly when you're speaking at length.
And also, on top of that, another thing is, what I mean is, to give you an example, so basically, in other words, the thing is, at the same time.
These transition phrases connect your thoughts and make your speaking sound structured and confident, even when you're figuring out what to say as you go.
The fifth category is closing phrases, for when you want to wrap up a thought or come to a conclusion.
So, all in all, the point I'm trying to make is, in short, what I really want to say is, the bottom line is, so basically what happened was.
Having these phrases ready means you always have a way to land your thought cleanly, even if the middle part was a little rough.
Now let's talk about solution number 4. Practice speaking on random topics every day.
This is one of the most powerful exercises for building the ability to speak without preparation, and almost no learners do it. Here's how it works.
Every day, pick a random topic. It can be anything: your favorite food, what you did yesterday, what you think about social media, a place you want to visit, an interesting thing that happened recently, anything.
Then talk about that topic for 60 seconds without stopping. Do not plan. Do not write notes. Just open your mouth and start talking. In English, out loud.
The first few times you do this, it will feel very uncomfortable. You will pause. You will lose your train of thought. You will say a lot. You will circle back to the same ideas. That is completely normal and completely fine.
The discomfort is the growth. Every time you push through the discomfort of speaking without preparation, your brain is building new pathways. It is learning to function under that pressure. And over time, it gets faster, smoother, and more natural.
You can make this exercise even more challenging over time. Start with 60 seconds and work up to 2 or 3 minutes. Start with easy personal topics and gradually include more complex topics like opinions on news events, explanations of how something works, or describing a process step by step.
And record yourself while you do this. Listening back to your recordings is incredibly valuable. You will notice your filler words, your pauses, your vocabulary gaps, and your areas of strength. That self-awareness is what allows you to improve specifically and efficiently.
Solution number 5. Use the echo and expand technique in conversations.
Oh, I love this one. Can you explain it?
So the echo and expand technique is this. When someone asks you a question or says something to you, you briefly echo or repeat part of what they said as you begin your answer. It buys you thinking time, and it also confirms you understood them correctly.
For example, someone asks, "What do you think about working from home?" You say, "What do I think about working from home? Well, I think it has a lot of advantages, actually." The echoing of the question gave you a couple of seconds to start forming your answer.
And it sounds completely natural. Native speakers do this all the time. It is not stalling, it is confirming and connecting. You are showing the other person you heard them while your brain prepares the actual response.
And the expand part means that once you start speaking, you keep building by adding details, reasons, and examples, even if you're discovering them as you speak.
So instead of stopping after one short sentence, you push yourself to keep adding. I think working from home has advantages. For example, you save time on commuting, and also you can work in a more comfortable environment. On the other hand, it can feel a bit isolating sometimes. So I think it depends on the person.
Notice how that response kept building even though nothing was planned. One sentence led to the next. Each idea sparked another idea. That's the expand part. Train yourself to always keep adding rather than stopping after one sentence.
And the more you practice this, the more naturally it comes. Your brain learns to generate connected thoughts one after another, rather than trying to plan the whole response before speaking.
Now let's talk about some common mistakes people make when trying to speak without preparation, because avoiding these mistakes will speed up your progress significantly.
The first mistake is waiting for silence to end before speaking. Some learners are so afraid of saying the wrong thing that they wait and wait until the silence becomes very awkward. Then they feel even more pressure and freeze completely.
The solution is to start speaking as soon as you can, even if you're not sure where the sentence is going. Start with a thinking phrase. "Well, that's a good question." Or, "Let me think about that." These get you talking, and once you're talking, the rest usually follows.
The second mistake is apologizing too much before you speak. Some learners say, "Sorry, my English is not very good," or "Excuse me, I'm not fluent," before every single thing they say. This damages your own confidence, and it actually makes the listener focus on your limitations rather than your message.
Start with your message, not with an apology. If something is unclear, the other person will ask and you can clarify. But apologize in advance constantly, and you're sabotaging yourself before you even begin.
The third mistake is trying to speak in long, complicated sentences when speaking without preparation. Long sentences with multiple clauses require a lot of planning and working memory. Under pressure, they fall apart.
Short sentences are your friend. Short sentences are clear. Short sentences are fast. Short sentences don't fall apart under pressure. You can always connect short sentences with and, but, so, and because to build more complex thoughts step by step rather than all at once.
The fourth mistake is focusing on what you don't know instead of what you do know. When a topic comes up that you don't know specific vocabulary for, some learners freeze because they can't find the exact word. but you can almost always describe or explain around a word you don't know.
For example, if you don't know the word commute, you can say the journey from my home to work. If you don't know the word procrastinate, you can say when you delay doing things you should do. This is called paraphrasing, and it's a very advanced and natural skill.
Native speakers paraphrase all the time. When you can't find a specific word, describe the concept. This keeps the conversation moving, and it actually impresses listeners because it shows creative thinking in English.
And the fifth mistake is practicing only by studying and not by doing. You can't develop the ability to speak without preparation by studying grammar or reading about speaking techniques. You develop it by actually speaking without preparation every single day.
Even 5 minutes of unplanned talking in English every day will do more for your spontaneous speaking ability than hours of passive study. Speaking is the only practice that develops speaking.
Now let me ask you a very honest question. If someone is listening right now and they've been learning English for a long time, but they still can't speak without preparation, what would you say to them?
I would say this. You've been spending most of your time preparing to speak rather than actually speaking, and that's not a criticism. It's just a pattern that most learners fall into because studying feels safer than speaking.
Studying has a clear outcome. You read a chapter, you finish an exercise, you feel like you accomplished something. Speaking without preparation feels messy and uncertain, and that messiness feels like failure. But it's not failure. It's exactly what learning feels like.
Every stumble, every pause, every moment of reaching for a word that isn't there, every imperfect sentence, all of those are your brain actively building the skill. They are the workout, not the failure.
And progress in spontaneous speaking happens faster than most people expect once they start doing it daily. Within a few weeks of daily unplanned speaking practice, most learners notice a real difference in how quickly their thoughts come out.
So make the commitment today, not to be perfect, but to speak every day without preparation for at least 5 to 10 minutes on any topic at all, out loud in English.
Let's close with a clear summary of everything we covered today.
Speaking without preparation feels hard because of 3 main reasons: translating instead of thinking in English, waiting for a perfect sentence before speaking, and having a small, active vocabulary of ready phrases.
The 5 solutions are: first, think in English throughout your daily life to eliminate the translation habit. Second, accept good enough and give yourself permission to speak imperfectly.
Third, build a collection of ready phrases for thinking, responding, clarifying, transitioning, and closing thoughts.
Fourth, practice daily unplanned speaking on random topics out loud for 60 seconds or more and record yourself to notice improvements.
Fifth, use the echo and expand technique to buy thinking time and build longer responses naturally in conversation.
Common mistakes to avoid: waiting in silence until pressure builds, apologizing for your English before you speak, using long, complicated sentences under pressure when short sentences are more effective, focusing on missing vocabulary instead of paraphrasing around it, and practicing only by studying instead of by actually speaking.
The key mindset shift is this: speaking without preparation is a skill built through doing, not through studying. Start speaking before you feel ready. Start today.
Every single person listening to this can develop this skill. It takes daily practice and a willingness to be imperfect, but it absolutely comes. We've seen it happen with learners at every level, and it will happen for you too.
Trust the process. Show up every day and watch what happens to your English over the next few weeks and months. The results will surprise you in the best way possible.
Thank you so much for watching English Learner Classes. We are truly grateful for every one of you who joins us and works so hard to improve your English every single day. Don't forget to subscribe to English Learner Classes for more easy and practical English lessons just like this one. Keep learning, keep improving, and we'll see you in the next lesson.